Before we dive into this week's episode of the Yancy St Speakeasy, I just want to say a couple things about the coming episode. First of all, I apologize for my coughing and sniffling. I do have a little bit of a cold lately. I also made the mistake of calling Thor Hulk at one point. I think you guys can probably put that together. But also, when I was talking about Carl Urban's character, Scourge, I did, in fact, refer to him as Keith Urban, who is a country star. Yes. So, apologies, Carl. Didn't mean to do that to you. But thanks, guys. Enjoy the episode.
Password?
I swear we didn't see Infinity War yet.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, I think
Don't buy the cheap shit again. It tastes like this.
Hey, man, you don't drink so long.
Oh, look at these two fucking ass clowns walking in like they own the place.
doing a show here.
Goddamn millennials. Welcome to the Yancy St Speakeasy, episode number 11. I'm Max.
And I'm Tracey.
And this is Phase 3, the Phasening. We'd like to start off with a dramatic reading of Loser by Beck.
In the time of chimpanzees, I was a monkey. Butane in my veins, so I'm out to cut the junkie. With the plastic eyeballs, spray paint the vegetables. Dog food stalls with the beefcake pantyhose. Kill the headlights and put it in neutral. Stock car flamin' with a loser in the cruise control. Babies in Reno with the vitamin D. Got a couple of couches, sleep on the love seat.
Thank you for listening. Appreciate that.
I was just building up a head of steam. It's really good. I actually, before we mentioned this like 2 seconds ago, we were gonna do this bit. I'd been like listening to the song. I've been listening to a lot of Beck recently, and I just listened to that song, and I was like, what do these lyrics even mean? And I'm sure Max will be able to tell me because he's smart like that.
I will, but I will tell him off mic because, you know, it's got a lot of detail.
It's a lot of baggage to unpack.
Yeah,
there's metaphors upon metaphors in there.
It's complex. But trust me, I do know. I know what every single lyric means.
He knows what everything is. He taught me what gravitas.
Yeah, which we never looked up to see if I was right, so we'll just assume that I was.
Or did we? I don't know. So we're gonna keep it real simple for you beautiful people out there, and we're gonna talk about some movies.
Some very specific movies.
Some very specific Marvel movies.
That's right. Good job, you did right.
I did it, yay.
All right, so we are gonna blast through Phase 3 to finally release our Infinity War podcast.
Yes.
Which
it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
We watched at this point. We've watched it like. I've watched it 3 times. You watched it twice.
Yeah, I've seen it twice, and I possibly I will be going a 3rd time.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but pretend, for posterity's sake, that I have not watched it yet.
It hasn't come out. What's an Infinity War?
Yeah.
I only know about Thor Ragnarok.
That's right.
Thor Ragnarok, more like.
Don't say it. I hate it when you say that. It's the worst joke. Okay. All right. So. Starting off with Captain America Civil War.
Yeah. Very strong entry in the series. It was, at least from my experience, when it came out, that was like, it came out my last year in undergrad, and I remember finishing my finals week and going to see it, at least until I went to grad school. And seeing going to see it like my finals week, and just getting such a mixed reaction from my friends. Like, I freaking loved the movie. I was all over it. Spider-Man was in it. I think I've mentioned this before in the podcast.
No, I don't think you've said anything about it, so go on.
Oh, cool. So, my roommate and I at the time, shut up, we're huge Spider-Man geeks. I wasn't like religiously paying attention to deals that were happening. So when the commercial dropped on Jimmy Kimmel and we see Spider-Man for the first time snagging the shield out of Captain America's hand, my roommate and I jumped up on the couch, grabbed each other, and screamed. If you can imagine that.
I can. I really can.
Yeah.
I don't know about them, but yes, I can imagine it.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say that
I'm a large man child. Is that what you're trying to say? Because you're right.
I was trying to say that I have a good imagination. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, well, I've outed myself. Anyway, obviously, yeah, Spider-Man was a huge draw for me. Bucky coming back was a huge draw for me. I love the Winter Soldier character. I couldn't wait to see what they were going to do with the whole Civil War storyline, because I do love that comic series. They definitely simplified it a whole lot from the comic book series. They didn't get into they didn't get too much into the meat and potatoes of the Accord. They didn't. No,
they really. I mean, it's a 2+ hour movie. They really could only do so much.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what my favorite part of the movie is?
What's that?
The way that Baron Zemo says, "Bucky,
Bucky, 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 I have a job for you, Bucky." I like when he drowns a man upside down, except that his mouth was out of the water the whole time until it was convenient for the plot to drown him.
Yeah, no, that didn't happen.
Did you notice that scene? Like the whole scene, like his mouth.
I did notice
was above the water line the whole time. He definitely wasn't drowning.
I mean, basically he could have tilted his head as if he was bowing upside down and his face would have been out of the water.
If he just tucked his chin into his chest, he would have survived. But
But also, you can only hold your neck like that for so long. So.
I'm sure Hydra agents are not trained in that particular form of death evasion.
Yeah.
Death evasion class.
No. No, I guess that they're not as prepared as they'd like to think.
There's a couple of pages missing from the death evasion books.
Where was he? He was in Ohio, right? Cleveland, was it?
Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland, Ohio.
Have you seen the tourism videos on Cleveland?
No.
It's like a spoof. There's this whole spoof video on Cleveland. It's a tourist video. It's trying to convince people to come spend their money and tour in Cleveland. It's
I don't need an impetus for that. I'm all about that.
Except it's made by a citizen there, and he's very sarcastic. It's just come on down to Cleveland town, everyone. Look at the places where there used to be industry. Sometimes our lake catches on fire. It's our whole economy's based on LeBron James. It's really good. We should watch this after this.
No, we should watch it during the podcast.
Yeah, hang on. We'll be right back.
That would be good content.
We'll be right back, faithful viewers.
No, we're not gonna be back. We're gonna watch it live, and they're gonna hear the crackly audio coming back from the computer.
They're gonna really enjoy that.
I'm sure they will. Because I know what people like.
You know what boys want. You know what boys need.
That's right.
Yeah, he does. He actually does. Captain America: Civil War created I kept referencing it to Team Jacob and Team Edward. It was Team Cap and Team Iron Man because it felt like that.
Well, they definitely were playing on that, not only because of the time that it came out.
Well,
which seems like a long time ago, but it was barely 2 years ago. Is that crazy or what? It came out in 2016 in May. We are literally only 2 years removed from that movie, and it feels like a lifetime ago.
It does. Well, a lot has happened in my life since then, so a lot of stuff feels like it happened a lifetime ago. I remember all of the advertisements for that movie were whose side will you pick? Whose side are you on? And I was I don't know. Oh, yes. Whose side are you on? Yes.
So let's do a quick plot rundown for the movie.
Yep.
So starts off, I think they did a solid job of addressing the mass destruction that has happened during the Avengers run, which, is a legitimate complaint, a legitimate thing that you want to talk about.
Yeah, and and honestly, in a big budget AAA movie like that, that's usually a thing that doesn't get mentioned. You see, you watch a Transformers movie, you watch a
I thought we were talking about good movies.
Michael Bay. We shit on Michael Bay so much on this podcast. It's like
Michael Bay, if you ever want to come on the podcast and defend yourself, you're more than welcome.
I don't think we'll let him through the door.
No?
No.
Okay.
We have a good director security system.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying. I'm dying here, man. Save me. It's no. If you like look at other big budget movies, like you know like about your Transformers, your Pacific Rims, your like cities getting blown up. People don't usually look into that stuff. It's like, oh man, half the city was leveled. This will probably affect commerce. Or something like that, and this one actually was like, yeah, these guys are operating with that. That was the thing, like in comparison from the comics to the actual movie. The movie really made both sides had very good arguments, and they were in the kind of the comics that you really felt like Tony was a bit of a villain. He did some of the shittier things.
Well, he kind of does some shitty stuff here and there.
He does.
I think that we have talked about Captain America: Civil War a little bit in the past on the podcast, so I neither want to assume that everyone has been listening to all the episodes, which I'm sure they haven't, but I also don't want to do too much reiteration.
Right.
So I've made a couple complaints, like it's making a huge assumption that
people have watched all the movies.
Well, no, I mean, I think that most of the people who would probably ever listen to this probably have, but I don't want to... It's a big assumption in the film world that, or in the MCU, to be more specific, that after Baron Zemo, or I guess he's not really Baron Zemo in the MCU, he's just Zemo. But he kind of... His plan relies a lot on the idea that both Captain America and Iron Man and Bucky will be... Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't... Basically, it's a huge assumption that Iron Man will be there in the super soldier base to discover what Bucky did to his parents as the Winter Soldier. So I think that is kind of a plot hole. I won't go too much into it because
I agree. You mentioned that to me, and I was like, oh yeah, it seems very convenient. There's a lot of moving parts in that movie, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't think Baron Zemo could have ever accounted for. A lot of variables he could have never seen coming. Like, I
mean, it was a good twist for the first time you watch it, but as someone who likes to rewatch these movies, and I think a lot of the fan base out there likes to watch as well, it ends up being a plot hole. Please contradict me if you feel differently. I didn't do a plug, so let's do a plug real quick.
Oh yeah, listen to our podcasts at maxstein.org.
Yeah, you can listen to our podcasts right now on maxstein.org or on iTunes.
Whichever you're listening on right now, you can also listen on the other thing.
Yeah.
We do have a website, maxstein.org, our very humbly named website by yours truly, Max Steen.
I did not create the website. I just wanted to be clear.
I know. I just really love picking on you about it.
I mean, I am ridiculously egotistical, so don't let that fool you.
Oh,
but
he is.
One thing I can claim is that I did not create the name to my own website. That was somebody else, and I'm just gonna roll with it because.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Why spend money on another URL?
I did create the email address which I'm about to plug, which sounds even more egotistical and ridiculous. It is Maxwell Dean at maxdean.org.
Oh, double trouble.
Double trouble.
It's too much Max. I can't even handle that much Max.
You've handled that much Max plenty.
Oh man, all 12 inches of it. Anyway, so on top of that shameless plug, here's another shameless plug. I started an Instagram account. It's Viva la France, capital VIVA, and then the country France, except the E in France is replaced with a 3. So Viva La Frank with a 3. And that's my Instagram account. I'm going to be using that account in particular to post exclusively... to use that account exclusively to post artistic and creative endeavors of the two of us. Any artwork, any original artwork that I create. I'm working on commissions right now, as well as a graphic novel that the two of us are currently involved with, and then anything else involving
It's a hot affair with the graphic novel.
It is a hot affair. I'm developing a payment scale on how much I'm going to charge for different levels of drawings. Love doing superheroes. Love doing people.
If you're willing to pay for a dick doodle, he will do that as well.
It will. We can negotiate whether there are hair and veins. There probably will be, regardless of what you request. And they will all be $69. Anyway, so yeah, Viva La Frank.
It's a hard rule.
Viva La Frank with a 3 at the end.
Hard.
It is a hard rule.
Good thing that
Are we
back
5?
to that.
I think we're both 5.
5-year-olds don't understand the complexity of our jokes.
The 5-year-olds don't understand the complexities of 60,
Don't
69ing.
sell us short. All right, so back to movies.
Are we talking about movies? I can't tell anymore.
Well,
I think my life's out of control.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah.
So
mine is
Civil War.
Screaming hearts and screeching wheels. Yeah, that's good.
We were discussing the Dave Matthews Band earlier because we both love his music and love to sing his music, and the song "So Damn Lucky" has really resonates with us because it's about a dude having a car crash. It's a metaphor for him losing control of his life, and same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
So, Captain America: Civil War brought a lot to the table. It was the first time we pretty much see every single superhero in the MCU in one place.
Yeah, almost completely. I mean, there's almost no one left out of that movie. I can't think of anyone.
Like, not even, I don't think even in Age of Ultron they managed to slip everybody in there.
No. Well, actually they did, I think, because they didn't include Guardians, but neither did Civil War.
Right. Yeah, so that's...
Well, I guess the thing about Civil War is that they introduced two new characters. Actually, Ant-Man had been introduced post-Civil War. So
right.
We got 3 almost brand new characters in that movie.
Wow.
Plus all the others.
Good on you.
Yeah. I can't believe you balanced that. I mean, Civil War...
very well balanced movie.
Yeah.
Everybody got their moment to shine.
Really. And to make a superhero fight scene with, 12 different characters?
And you can feel free to fight me on this. Please do. I think the fight scene at the airport is one of the best and one of the best choreographed fight scenes in recent history.
Yeah, because as amazing as the fight scenes were and all the action was in Winter Soldier, it was definitely more honed down, and I totally love what they did, but in Civil War, you're balancing 12 different superpowered characters, not 1 or 2 guys beating up a bunch of stand-ins.
There's a lot to account for. There's a lot of abilities meshing in different ways that you've got to take into account too. And not to mention you have 2 new players on the field. You got Spider-Man and Black Panther. And you've got to figure out how they're gonna kind of interact with the other players. Loved Spider-Man referencing Empire Strikes Back as he took down Ant-Man. That was very cool. Going back to we're gonna talk about Spider-Man.
We have to, because that character makes or breaks that movie. If they missed the mark on Spider-Man, the whole thing goes out the window. And
they nailed it, because I still stand by the fact that Tom Holland is an excellent fucking Spider-Man. He was really solid. I'm glad they went with the younger, inexperienced one. Created that Dad I never had, son I never had relationship with him and Tony was subtly brilliant. Having him visit them in the Queens and their humble little apartment.
Quick shout out to Left Hand Free by Alt J.
Hell yes! Oh, Alt J, fantastic band. Actually, earlier in the evening, Max was having me listen to the entirety of An Awesome Wave, which I didn't realize how epic that entire soundtrack was.
It's a great album. Won't dwell on it too long,
Yeah,
but
stop what you're doing, unless it's this, and go listen to An Awesome Wave.
After we finish this podcast in 2 hours,
Yeah, probably.
when you still have nothing else to do with your time,
Yeah,
go ahead and listen to An Awesome Wave from start to finish.
it's very good. Oh, it's so good. I was very impressed.
He was impressed with me,
was
not the album. He was
mostly
impressed with my knowledge of the album.
Also, yes.
I also impressed myself.
Yes. He impresses himself on a daily basis and then lets me know about it.
Minute to minute.
Minute to minute,
It's
yep.
crazy.
Yep. I basically have a link to his mind at this point. It's terrifying. Anyway, Spider-Man was just an excellent addition. He fit in so well, even though he was introduced halfway through the movie. Black Panther, immediate standout hit. Black Panther and Spider-Man definitely stole the show in Civil War.
I think, yeah. There were great scenes all around. I feel like Hawkeye had his best scenes in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know something funny? I was doing something the other day, okay? Mm-hmm. A little bit of a waste of time, but I was tired after work, and I was just kind of, looking around.
You don't have to justify yourself. We all do stupid things.
Okay, well, what I was doing was sort of counting the number of films that each particular character has shown up in.
Yeah.
I think we can all take a wild guess at who's been in the most.
Spider-Man.
So, it's definitely Robert Downey Jr. as
What?
Tony Stark.
Impossible.
Yeah. I think he's been in 9.
Yeah.
And then there are a couple other close seconds that I want to say, who's been, Nick Fury's number 2. He's been in 7. And I did include post-credit sequences as long as they weren't recordings.
Yeah.
So I didn't include Captain America. I didn't count him in
Spider-Man.
in Spider-Man because he was just a recording. I didn't include Black Widow and Ragnarok because she was just a recording, etc., etc. But I did include them if they were in a post-credit sequence, as long as it wasn't like Thor in Doctor Strange, where that was really just a scene from Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Pardon. So, Nick Fury's
really
in
was.
7.
Yeah.
Then there's a couple with 6. Thor is in 6. Captain America is in 6. But out of 19 movies, you want to know how many Hawkeye has been in?
How many?
4. Doesn't it seem like he's been in more than that?
Thor, Avengers, Civil War.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Fucking Hawk, and I love him so much.
Right? So, anyway, that was one thing that surprised me. I'm not even sure if he's in the top 10
Clint.
of characters
Clint.
and number of appearances.
Where you at, Clint?
Anyway, we'll save that for later.
I know.
It was a rabbit hole, but it did kind of strike me that, I mean, even Falcon's been in more than him, I think. Falcon's been in Winter Soldier, Avengers, Ultron, Ant-Man,
Yeah.
Civil War, and Infinity War.
Yep.
Falcon has been in more movies than Hawkeye, and he's an OG Avenger. Isn't that crazy?
That kind of upsets me. Well,
Right?
Do you know if there's a reasoning behind that?
Just, he's not the most popular Avenger. I don't think that he was really popular until Ultron.
I love Hawkeye.
Well, anyway.
I know he fights with very outdated equipment, but some of them have bombs on them, and that's cool. And he's cool. He's really cool, and he's like the cool uncle of the group. I think I said that already. He just keeps everybody together. He keeps everybody grounded and whatever.
Hey, Tracy, you know what?
What?
Hawkeye's cool.
Cool. Cool. He's very cool.
So anyway, complete rabbit hole, but
What do you expect?
should expect nothing else.
Welcome to
we've
welcome to the Yancy St Speakeasy, where we talk about things and stuff. We try to stay on topic, but it doesn't work. I just want to focus on a little bit on the Accords themselves again, because they made the distinction between the two sides pretty apparent, but it was another moment where I was like listening to them talk about the Accords, and they were showing the reasoning behind why each character picks a side, and I was like, man, they really put some thought into this. They thought about this way before the new Civil War was going to happen, and like I mentioned in the previous podcast, if you guys were paying attention, I listed the reasons like Cap would obviously not trust the Accords because
right. They really set that up with Winter Soldier.
he does not trust the government. He does not trust a group of people telling him where he needs to go, keeping him in the dark. He thinks that the safest hands are his own, and the Avengers in general. And Tony got shown in a very early scene in that movie, where the lady was waiting outside the elevator. I actually really loved that scene, even though it kind of like felt out of place at the time. But it was like, whoa.
I felt like it worked. I felt like everything in that movie flowed nicely.
Yeah.
I felt like even the inclusion of Wakanda felt nice. Like it felt smooth. Like they're like, okay, so you just blew up some people by accident. Some of them happened to be Wakandan, and the one thing. And this is jumping ahead a little bit, but the one thing that felt a little bit out of place was that King T'Chaka wanted to address the United Nations, because basically what it kind of implied from that film was that Wakanda was ready to step into the limelight, ready to be like, hey, we need to all work together. But then when you jump to Black Panther, that's a huge plot point.
Yeah.
They don't really address that.
Well, I didn't really see it. I didn't see it so much as that, so much as T'Chaka was trying to be like, the Avengers need to have like reins put on them. Like, I think he was just saying his bit.
I guess, but it's kind of seemed like he was leading the. I don't know. To me, it seemed like he was leading the meeting, and then.
I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if he was. Yeah, I mean, like, obviously the movie's focused on him because he's a very important character. I couldn't tell if he was, because the movie focused on him, if he was leading that charge or he was just a member of it.
Well, I don't know. It just
because at that point, like, Wakanda was seen as like this is like kind of a charity case, like as this.
And so they were using them as like the UN was using.
Yeah, they're
them
like, oh, look at this poor third world country, that like has this stake in global politics, and here, it seemed they were using them more as like kind of tugging at the heartstrings.
I can see that, I guess. But so to jump onwards in the plot, they did a pretty good job of framing Bucky, reintroducing him back into the fold. Making him a likable character, yet still kind of closed off as you would need to be, someone on the run from the entire world.
Yeah, they handled his character incredibly well.
I thought, like you said, the airport scene was really excellent.
There was
incredibly hard to pull off.
Did you happen to notice that there was another Arrested Development reference?
Yeah, the Bluth stair car.
The Bluth stair car was also in that.
Which is fantastic. A show that we were watching today, actually.
We were, and enjoying it immensely, because that is one of my favorite shows of all time.
I enjoyed it more than you.
You want to fucking fight?
I mean...
Hey, folks, we're going to step outside for a second. I'm going to beat his ass, and we're going to come back in and talk about the rest of this.
I'm going to get my brass knuckles.
Cheater. What did Civil War bring to the MCU?
Good thing we're really good at this.
We're so good. We're professionals, dude. Shut up. Shh. Shush your face.
So, the Captain America Civil War brought to the MCU Black Panther, King T'Chaka, Spider-Man, Wakanda.
As a whole.
The Sokovia Accords.
Yep.
It brought back Thunderbolt Ross.
Hell yes.
Which is the only thing about the Incredible Hulk that has ever made a reappearance.
Yeah, and then he like made a really brief appearance in Infinity War. Then didn't he?
Yeah, but we didn't see that yet.
Whoa, yes. Whoops. Just kidding. I have one of those Men in Black mind eraser thingies. I'm flashing it.
The neuralizer.
Yeah, the neuralizer. Forget that you heard that.
It works over pre-recorded audio.
Yes.
So you know.
Yes. We have the technology. Better, faster, stronger. It was a $6 Million Man reference. Did you get it? Did you get it?
It brought a schism between the Avengers.
Schism. It's a good word. Like gravitas.
You want me to explain that one to you?
It did, no. Shush. Yeah.
That'll be wrong anyway.
It did create a schism. And it revealed the true nature of Howard Stark's death.
It did. It also Melissa.
Yes, and
Melissa Stark.
Yep, and it also revealed the existence of more Winter Soldiers.
Yeah.
Which were inconsequential because they were all shot in the head.
Yeah. It also sort of introduced us to the romance between Vision and Scarlet Witch.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Paprikash.
Yes.
It gave us a cool fight scene between Vision and Hawkeye, which was hilarious because he was so outmatched. It was really great.
Like, Hawkeye's like, this fucking shit again. Like, why do I still have just a bow and arrow?
I guess that's probably why he's not in a lot of the movies, because at what point in that movie would he really have been useful in Infinity War?
Being a cool guy to talk to.
Being a cool uncle.
Shut up. He's got lots of cool scenes. Like, yeah,
no, I
guess.
know, but you know what? I guarantee that if they put him in it, it would have worked. I'm sure, I'm 99.999100% sure that he will have a cool role in Avengers 4.
He better, because I love Hawkeye.
Why don't you marry him?
Man, you really brought it. You really fucking brought it to this session.
On top of my game, man.
Super proud of you.
When y'all look back and remember what our peak point of podcasting was, it was that moment.
Oh no, it was definitely the one. It was definitely the one we were talking about, like our sweaty asses sticking to the.
Oh yeah.
That was my peak performance. This is what male peak performance looks like. I know some of you don't agree with it, but it's what it is. I love that.
This is what you all have to live up to.
Yeah. Good luck, all else. All right, so that's Civil War. Really great. Love that movie. I hope you enjoyed our broken review of it. Let's move on to what happened next. Doctor Strange?
Yes.
Doctor Strange? Yeah.
Which I really liked, actually, a lot.
It was a big fan.
I really liked it a lot.
Even though he was kind of a clone of Tony Stark?
No, I really think they proved that he's not by putting him up next to Tony Stark in Infinity War.
Which we didn't see.
Yeah, it's just guesses.
It was definitely like very very cocky genius who cared a lot about himself, didn't care a lot about other people, but was like led his field and everything, and then became humbled when he lost it all, and had to get himself out of like a pretty dark situation. I
think that they, even though the characters are kind of similar, they told the story in a different way. Tony Stark's, his character arc, it takes a nosedive pretty early in the movie, and then actually you see how much of a dick he is, and then he has a single experience, and he kind of comes back from that pretty quickly.
Right.
Whereas Stephen Strange, you see how much of a dick he is, and then he has this thing happen to him, but then he just nosedives. He goes so far down. It takes him more than half the movie to really start that upward character swing, you know? So they told the story in a different way. They told a story in which Stephen Strange is really much more reluctant to face his own shortcomings.
Yeah, well, and also that he's reluctant to take on the role that is obviously being put in front of him.
Yes.
Because Tony embraces it fully, and he's like, oh, I just wanted to do this to, like, heal my hands, but also there's this other thing here, all these other things that have to do with the mystic arts, and that's cool.
Yeah, I feel like Stephen Strange doesn't embrace his role until basically the climax of the movie. I mean, he's still arguing with the Ancient One.
Yeah.
Right up until she dies, and he then ends up going to face Dormammu.
Yeah.
Well,
you notice that she never really teaches him to use the magic, to use the arcane energy to, like, fix his hands. Like, she teaches him combat and world traveling and what weapon. Like,
she specifically tells him that he has a choice, where he can either use the magic to keep his hands healed and go back to being a surgeon, or he can use it for everything else. She basically lays it out there, and he doesn't really make that choice until he sees her die, and almost immediately after that, they end up going to Hong Kong, I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
Where the third sanctum is, and he ends up facing Dormammu and making the sacrifice of potentially being in a time loop forever.
Which, that finale, the finale of that movie, I think, is one of the best.
No doubt.
Is one of the best finales I've ever seen in. Well, just like looking at it from, like, a movie standpoint, and then also looking at the rest of the MCU, it's a fantastic finale because there's a lot of character growth there.
Yeah.
It's different and unique. He's basically saying, like, I'm willing to be ripped apart and murdered every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like well, not even that, every 5 minutes for the rest of my life. And
not just for the rest of his life, eternity because he will never eventually die in that time loop.
No, he's caught the entire universe in this time loop.
So I think where in Iron Man I really loved the movie and I forgive the finale, which I didn't love. I mean, if you count the finale as the Iron Man reveal, I am Iron Man, that's great. But the climax,
the boss fight,
I let it go because everything else was great. Whereas, I'm not saying I like Doctor Strange as much as I like Iron Man, but I do like the movie, and I feel like the climax is the best part.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, it ends on such a high note.
I thought the visuals in the film were some of the best in the entire MCU.
For real, dude. Well, they stayed very true to the comics while also putting a modern spin on it. The scene where he got, like, pushed into his astral form, like,
yes, that's so good.
And she knocks him through, and he's, like, seeing, like, his hands. He's, like, hands growing on his fingers, on his fingers, on his fingers.
When she's showing him the different dimensions, that's incredible.
Somebody sat, like, in thought long and hard at a desk.
Not just someone. That is a conglomerate.
That is. I use the singular "someone" to represent the conglomerate of the coalescence of the brilliance of a large group of people.
Good job. And the mirror dimension was so well.
Oh, it was so cool.
Yeah, it was so well done.
It was so cool. I did have somebody. We might have mentioned it on this show before, but we're going to mention it again because I want to. I was in a conversation with a friend, and they were like, "Yeah, it didn't really make sense that, like, Doctor Strange happened, and then he's all of a sudden, like, the master of the mystic arts." And I'm like, you don't know how long that time loop with Dormammu lasted.
Right. Well, I think that's one of the things is that not only is he a character who is masterful over things that he puts his mind to, but he is defending himself for God knows how long. I mean, I think that
I know they only showed, like, probably maybe maybe half a dozen, maybe like 10 or so iterations of him getting killed by Dormammu. But we don't know if that was 5 minutes. We don't know if that was 5,000 years.
Yeah, I would assume that an entity such as Dormammu would not get frustrated after 10 attempts. I think they were implying that it took a very long time.
Yeah, for real.
And I think that, I can't remember who exactly it was. It might have been the Russo brothers. It might have been Scott Derrickson, the director of this movie. Someone asked him how long was he in the time loop, and he didn't give a specific answer, but he essentially said, long enough for Doctor Strange to become more well-versed in the mystic arts.
Yeah, because... And you gotta think, he doesn't have a lot of resources out there in, like, a timeless void. He's got to figure out how to do all of these intricate defense, like, mystic arts and just different paraphernalia all by himself, and he's just kind of like remembering these things from books he's read or attempting it off the cusp. He's straight up improvising to keep himself alive longer and longer, maybe in the hopes that he defeats Dormammu, which I don't think was ever a hope of his, but just to like keep him sufficiently annoyed.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know if it's really worth delving that deeply into, but I guess I think that it's kind of a metaphor for the persistence. Like, if you were to ever completely give up and let him kill you every time without defending yourself, it's kind of like giving up.
Yeah.
And so the drive, the will to succeed is kind of represented in the fact that he tries to fight back every single time.
Yeah.
So, I guess we should, since we have quite a few movies, even more than last time to get through, we should do a quick summary. What did Doctor Strange bring to the MCU? And that's, again, a lot.
A lot. It's Doctor Strange, it's the mystic arts, it's the Ancient Ones, it's the Time Stone, Wong.
Yes. Wong, Mordo. Basically, all mystic arts in general have never been touched on before.
No. The different dimensions and realities.
Multiple dimensions and realities beyond the
Universe 616.
Not what I was going to say, but I was going to say beyond the quantum realm. That's the only one that had been introduced.
Yeah. The quantum realm has been mentioned, but not sufficiently explained.
Yeah, we had a brief appearance at the very end of Ant-Man.
Whereas, I enjoy how they explain how they use magic. It's not just like it's magic.
Yeah, no, I thought they did a really good job of incorporating it into the greater universe.
The energy that exists between dimensions.
The Ancient One has a great line where she says, "If this suits your modern." I forget the phrase, but basically your modern way of thinking.
Sensibilities.
Yes, your modern sensibilities. Then think of it as the source code for the universe. And I thought that was really good because it basically says, this is all here, just because other people don't understand it doesn't mean it's not.
Yeah.
This isn't just click your fingers and something shows up. When you learn how it works, you can manipulate it. And I thought that was really well done.
Yeah. It was.
It gives him limits, like you can't just do anything, but if you learn how to do each different thing, then you can do things.
So then after that was
Guardians 2.
Guardians
of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Which I still loved very much, not as much as the first one. The plot was a little looser. The humor was a little bit more mean-hearted.
It was
mean-spirited.
Yeah. I didn't really love the humor in the movie at times, but
the vast majority, I was still roaring most of the movie.
I laughed a lot, not as much as the first one. I still feel like the first one is such a work of art, and the second one,
it really is.
I thought that they did a ton of great stuff with fan service, like giving Yondu the full fin, the full dorsal fin on his head.
Yeah.
I thought they did such a great job with him as a character in general.
Yeah, I think we mentioned in our phase 2 just the drawing correlations between him and Rocket, only to at the end have Yondu kind of resolve his daddy issues with Peter,
really well done,
Mary Poppins, y'all.
That is so amazing. I don't know if you guys will listen to the other podcast as well. I feel like you probably would if you listen to this one, but regardless, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. It's amazing. It's so good.
I will
so good.
Another specific scene. Baby Groot was simultaneously super annoying and super adorable to me because I was just like, I'm like, come on. Like,
I would have preferred Baby Groot not be in the movie. Maybe that will make some enemies, but I felt like Baby Groot was just for the kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're gonna make this movie, make it like the first one. Kids are smart enough to kids are smart enough to relate without putting like a slapstick baby in there.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree. Who are the gold people?
Oh, I want to say we talked about this before, but I want to say her name was Alyssa.
But like, I just want to like look the species gold. Typing in gold people from Guardians 2.
I said it on the last podcast. Now it's escaping my memory.
It's the Sovereign.
The Sovereign.
The Sovereign. I don't think they necessarily needed to be in the movie.
Well, no, they didn't. They could have made it work another way, but I think that they wanted to introduce them because they're working on Adam Warlock. I think that was literally
that's right. They do mention Adam, don't they?
I think that's the entire impetus for that race to be in the film. Is for a setup to the Adam Warlock character.
I did love the setup to the movie. I loved the intro where it's them being guardians. Like, hey, we do this every day. We save the galaxy, and fighting that interdimensional organism where didn't really make sense how they killed it, but it was really fun to watch. And Groot was fucking dancing around the whole time, and I loved the soundtrack to that movie too. So I can't really complain too much.
I think that's one of the other things about the movie is I feel like Drax was hilarious in Guardians.
Yep.
It didn't feel like he was as funny in this one.
He's pretty funny. But
I think he has his moments, whereas in Infinity War, which we definitely didn't see it, I think he's standout. I think he's really amazing.
Really funny. This movie was definitely a lot more cartoony and slapstick. Having Drax kind of fly out the airlock and shoot people, and then smash among the trees. And I'm like, I don't care how strong you are. He probably would have some injuries.
If you're gonna have a guy shoot on an airlock in space and shoot a guy and shoot other ships and then smash through the trees like that, why would he not be able to do anything? He's not indestructible. Like that.
He's very strong and he's very resistant to damage.
Yeah, but I mean, it just was that.
That
was too much.
See, like
those were the moments that they lost me.
In the comics, Drax was like genetically engineered to be able to defeat Thanos. Or in the more recent iterations.
No, he was always that. That's always been his character.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I say always, but for much longer than just the recent iteration. But in the movies, they nerfed it. I mean, he couldn't even take on Ronan without an Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
He didn't even put up a fight. It's not like he went toe to toe and lost. He got thrown around like a rag doll.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why?
Oh yeah, like Groot, Rocket, and Gamora are definitely like the strongest aspects of the team. Like I that's one thing I love all the characters. I adore all of them. Peter Quill and Drax don't really contribute too much in the overall
Yeah. I guess Peter Quill's the relatable one.
scheme of power,
But
and Drax is the weird one. Like Drax
they all have their parts, but like, I mean, Drax is definitely the funniest one. But basically, shoot him out the airlock, have him shoot at the other spaceships. That would have been really epic. The smashing through the trees, which would break anyone's back. Just cut that part. I don't need that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I do love the scene where Rocket takes out the entire troop of Ravagers.
Yeah, that's pretty good because it's a humorous as well.
It is. Well, and it just shows like Rocket is like super capable character. It's like because people are like, hey, he's a stupid raccoon. Well, like look at it, watch him take out a couple dozen people. It's not so silly anymore.
Yeah.
And he's just doing it all from like one place. And he's got like he's singing into the microphone that's like luring them elsewhere, and he's like getting the bombs and he's shooting them, and then he like jumps on their faces and punches them, like rabbit punches them.
I and Baby Groot wasn't my least favorite part of the movie, but again, it's just in certain moments I felt like they didn't use him well. It's like when they're locked in the cell, the whole bit where he's trying to get Yondu's fin.
Although when he returns with a human toe,
I mean, there were moments.
I did die
I just
a
felt
little
like
bit.
the whole thing
It was really funny.
I felt like the whole thing was just like, it's too much. It's like that's the slapstick stuff. It's like you're putting that in there for the kids.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, but...
Yeah, I agree. And same thing with them, like we're only supposed to do X number of hyperdrive jumps, and we're gonna do 700! And then their faces get all like woobly goobly.
Yeah, all wonky.
Yeah, and I was like, that's also probably in there for the kids.
Yeah, it is.
Really enjoyed the final battle. I know there were some like cartoony parts in the final
but
battle.
I thought like it's such a hard line to draw between cartoony and a little bit slapstick and going too far with it.
Yeah.
I think basically James Gunn was kind of like testing the limits, and he may have pushed it too far at points, basically, because it's not like the movie was bad by any means. It's just there are certain times where they go too far and it takes you out of the movie because it's just like...
The whole part with Groot and the bomb.
Yeah.
The whole part with like Groot and the bomb, it's like, no, this is the button you push.
Yeah, again, another moment where they just went too far with the silliness.
And I did love that they were like kind of withdrawn from the action, because there's a whole fight scene going on outside, but they're choosing to focus instead on Rocket trying to explain what buttons to press with the bomb.
Yeah, and there's such a subtle difference, and I'm sure that everyone feels differently, but where they had the joke with Groot not understanding which button to press, felt like that was kind of stupid. But where they had the joke where Rocket asks Quill if he has any tape. Oh. And then he asks all the other guys, and none of them have tape. I thought that was really funny.
I love that.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's really hard to specify or draw the line, but some just hit and some miss, and at least for me.
Yeah. And the finale, and you know what? The finale of the movie was excellent.
Again,
excellent.
Tear jerking.
Yeah. They
the
did
lights of O'Gord.
Despite the fact that like everybody except me apparently guessed that Ego was the bad guy, and so that whole
saw it coming a million. I saw
off.
He walked off his little egg-shaped spaceship, and I was like, oh, he's the bad guy.
Oh, piss off! I thought it was gonna be a tearful father-son reunion. I was like, oh look, he has a whole planet to draw power from. This will make Peter Quill more of a viable character for the Guardians to like have as an ally.
I'm glad you had a nice reveal.
Yeah, whatever. No, dude. When I was in theater and he was like, it was a shame that I had to put a tumor in that head, and he just blew him apart. I was like, whoa. I was like starting to get weird vibes, and then all of a sudden I was like, yeah, he is really bad. And that whole fight scene at the end where they were drawing from the power of the planet, and Peter gets to turn into Pac-Man, and
I thought that was really funny.
It was great. It was really great. It was a lot of great character moments, them trying to escape with each other, them trying to get out of the bowels of a doomed planet. Excellent, and...
I thought they did a good job with the sister relationship between Nebula and Gamora.
They did. It did really well. I like that fight scene where she showed up and tried to kill her, and then Gamora was a badass and ripped the fucking turret gun off the.
Yeah.
It was like firing it at her, and then they found the whole series of skeletons under the planet. And they're like, oh, this is bad.
So, just to avoid spending too much time on any given film,
It was good.
what did it bring to the greater MCU? It brought Mantis.
It did bring Mantis. That's right.
I really was not that much of a fan of Mantis in this movie, but I thought she was awesome in Infinity War.
I was a fan regardless. I thought she was adorable, and I loved her power. It's very cool power.
I thought she had a cool power. I just didn't think that they showed it off well, and
I didn't necessarily think that she was going to continue to team up with the Guardians. Like, I thought that was going to be her last hurrah. I didn't know she was going to continue to be in the MCU.
I thought they spent too much time on the character not to go forward with her. But.
Yeah, very happy that they kept her in. She was awesome in Infinity War, which we didn't see. So I think, introduced the concept of ego, and then immediately disposed of him. Mantis, and the Sovereign, and a sort of a hint at Adam Warlock.
I think that's the big thing that it really brought to the greater universe.
Yeah, mentioned a bunch. Brought the
original Guardians,
and the Ravager proper.
Yes, we brought more of the Ravager, more of the Ravager code, and it brought the other stuff we already said.
Yep. Good movie.
Yeah.
Way to go.
I still will enjoy watching it anytime.
Hell yeah.
Anytime.
Enjoy it.
Next up.
Thor.
No.
What?
Skipped your favorite one. Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, fuck. I always forget about that one. Why do I always forget about that? I love Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man Homecoming. I love Tom Holland. It was a very good movie. I'm happy that they kept it kind of like... contained, like New York level. Like he's doing like a little stuff, which it was
friendly
really
neighborhood Spider-Man.
He was a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, which was really nice to see. Like nobody was solving like a world-ending dilemma. Nobody was solving a galaxy-ending dilemma. It was just Spider-Man found a bunch of dudes who were selling guns.
Yeah.
And a bunch of alien guns.
I really, really like this movie. It is one of my favorites in the MCU. It's not one of my all-time favorite movies from start to finish, but the good parts are so good.
Yeah.
There are some scenes which are really, really amazing. The scene where he's sitting in the car, sort of just having realized that the Vulture is Liz Allen's father.
Yep.
That's great.
So good.
The scene where
the audience that when I saw that for the first time, the audience that was when they gasped and he turned around and they were like,
it was really well done. He's a terrifying character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Spider-Man is an incredibly powerful character, but Adrian Toomes is very intimidating.
He is. He's got a hell of a lot of experience on him.
I think that Michael Keaton is so good for the part.
He's an excellent actor, and he was an excellent Vulture.
He really was. His little ticks, all his little bird-like ticks. So on point. Never overdone to me.
Nope, never overplayed the part. It was really good. I did love, and they definitely pulled this directly from the comics, when he collapses...
I was just going to talk about that.
Yeah, when he collapses the building in... Oh, is there a kitty? Hi, Tomas. Tomas is ready for his 16,000th can of food today. Because he eats and eats and eats and eats. Adrian Toomes is really great. That scene where they drop he pretty much drops that entire warehouse on top of him. And it's directly pulled from the comics. It was the scene where, from the original Amazing Spider-Man, where he fights Doc Ock for the second time, except Doc Ock is like the master planner or something like that. Do you happen to remember?
No, I don't recall just off the top of my head.
I think it's when Doc Ock is calling himself the master planner, and there's like a series of crimes that Spider-Man starts investigating, and he gets into an underground lab, and he discovers that Doc Ock is the master planner. They have a fight. Doc Ock, destroys half the lab in the process, leaving Spider-Man trapped under a pile of debris, which seems far too heavy and for him to ever be able to lift. Same in this case. He has that moment where he's panicking and he's got the mask on, and you see that scene where he sees the mask in the puddle, and it's like half his face and half the mask poking out of the puddle. That was exactly the thing that they used to do in the old comics, where they do half his face as Peter Parker and half his face as Spider-Man, and he is trying to summon strength that he didn't know he had to get out of that situation. And it's just really, there's a lot of great callbacks. A lot of really great callbacks from the comic books. They focused on one villain, which I am so happy about, because previous Spider-Man movies have definitely struggled with introducing multiple villains.
To me, that scene is the quintessential struggle with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The feeling that the all this weight is on your shoulders and it's just too much for a kid, and then freaking out about it for a second and then rising to the challenge.
Yeah.
That is what epitomizes the entire character of Spider-Man.
Yeah, because he is there's a duality to his character, because he's obviously he's one of the characters that tries to maintain, especially in the MCU, none of them really try to maintain a secret identity, do they? Spider-Man's
pretty much the only one.
Spider-Man's pretty much the only one that just kind of wants to remain a normal kid, and that's definitely a weight on his shoulders, and that's why it's all. I always loved when his spider sense was tingling, or when he was thinking of himself in terms of Spider-Man. He could never think of himself fully as Spider-Man. He's always his life and his personality is always split into two parts. It's Peter Parker and it's Spider-Man, and the Peter Parker part of him was I can't lift this. I'm just nerdy Peter Parker. I'm on my school's decathlon team for
academic decathlon.
The academic decathlon team, and I can't, and I have a test tomorrow, and there's a girl that I like, but also I'm Spider-Man. I have super strength. I have super reflexes. I fight crime at night and when nobody's paying attention, and I can do this. And he rises to the occasion, like you said.
Yeah, I thought Ned Leeds was a much more interesting best friend than Harry Osborn. I'm sorry to say.
Yes.
I am sorry to say, but he is.
Harry Osborn could definitely be introduced at some point. But
I'm sure he will. And I bet that they'll probably do something where he's Peter's new friend, and then there's a friend struggle between Harry and Ned, and I think it'll be good. I'm sure they'll do a good job with it.
I was wondering if maybe he shows up he's kind of like a bad boy.
I'm sure he is.
I was wondering if he's a bad boy and he's been kicked out of the private institutions. His dad keeps trying to put him in high-end boarding schools, but he keeps causing too much trouble, so they end up sending him down to the public school level.
I feel like that's exactly how it's going to go, and he's going to be smart but doesn't put it out there, and he and Peter are going to relate to each other in some way. And I think that what he will, I don't know. I think that basically the Avengers Tower is going to be sold to Oscorp. It'll be the Oscorp Tower.
Yeah.
He's going to somehow get involved with Oscorp, and he'll become friends with Harry, and Ned will kind of be like, hey, he's bad news, and Harry is going to be like, hey, he just doesn't know.
Ned's holding you back.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll do something like that.
You could become a whole new level of friendship with me.
Yeah. So
Tomas wants out.
Life at the whim of cats.
Yeah, I know, right? He comes in, he's like, I want food, and we feed him, and then he's like, I want out. And he came by.
But back to focusing on this particular movie, I thought it was great. I thought they did a good job with Flash because they didn't make him this brawny dude picking on the little guy. They made him a much more realistic bully, a guy who's clearly insecure.
Yeah.
You know, nerdy himself. He's on the academic decathlon, but he just finds some solace in putting other people down.
Yep, they continued the Spider-Man Tony Stark dynamic I loved so much.
I thought they really expanded on it and did a nice job with it.
Yeah, well, it just, like, subtly, like, even without Robert Downey being in a vast majority of the movie, they did a great job, like, through showing the suit's capabilities and the training wheels program to see, and
yeah, he was very much part of it, and despite the fact that they really did a good job of not making him sort of steal too much of the scenes.
Yeah.
You know, like, he definitely had his moments, but
when he walked out of the suit and was like, if you're nothing without this suit, you don't deserve it.
There were good moments.
Love that scene.
But they kept him out of the movie enough to the point where you didn't feel like it was another Iron Man movie.
Right.
And they really did a good job of portraying a teenager who wanted the approval of his father, who's not around enough. Yeah. They just really poignant, because I think that metaphorically, especially in America, a lot of the time relationships with children falls upon the mother, and the father oftentimes, especially, maybe not quite as much now, but especially historically, the fathers have been more distant, whether it's due to work or whether it's just due to
like their misguided sense of masculinity.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really been a major part of growing up in the United States, is even if your father's there, feeling like he's not there.
Yep. And
I think they did a really, really great job.
Emotional distance and physical distance can definitely feel like the same thing.
Yeah, and instead of making it feel like everything was about living up to Uncle Ben, who's this, like, kind of...
Like he's super idealized.
Yeah, Uncle Ben is idealized, and he's kind of martyred.
Yeah.
But Tony Stark is... He's not idealized to the audience. He's not martyred to the audience. He is idealized by Peter, which is very relatable to a teenager, especially a male teenager who's like, I just want my father to hang out with me. I just want him to like me.
That's a thing that
even if he's a total dickhead.
You see what the Avengers, and particularly Tony Stark, is to himself and to the Avengers and to, like, his immediate his immediate friends and family, but you don't see what he's like to the rest of society. And, like, I thought this movie really showed that. He's a busy dude. He's always around. He's kind of always thinking about himself, but you know deep down he cares a lot. I sympathize so much with Peter, just like, hey, just wondering if there was another Avengers mission. Okay, bye. And then you see his phone, and all of his messages are too happy, and he never receives any from him. And I was just like, oh, dude.
Yeah, it really, really does a great job of sort of portraying this character who has this immense power that doesn't really he kind of knows it's there, but he doesn't really get it. He's not confident. I think it just is such a great comparison to how a lot of people feel. Like, they've been told maybe at some point in their life that they have great things inside of them, but they struggle to believe it. They struggle with confidence. They struggle to know how to use it, you know. And I thought it was a great coming of age film.
It really was.
I thought that it was very much in the vein of a lot of those 80s teen movies, but just even more well done than most of them.
It definitely had the feel of an 80s teen movie, but with, like, definitely...
a lot of heart.
a lot of heart. It definitely subverted my expectations of like what like who his best friend was, who his bully was, who the girl that he liked and admired was also a girl that shared his values. Like she was very intelligent.
Yeah, she was not
very
Mary
driven.
Jane, especially from the first one.
I did love the reveal of the Zendaya.
Zendaya.
Yeah, of her being Mary Jane. I really loved her character.
Me too.
The scene at the Washington Monument is just like I just don't want to glorify a building that was like built by slaves. It's like it wasn't built by slaves, and
the security guard is like yeah. There's so many good scenes, and you know what's so funny is that I knew this girl who was just like that character in high school, so I was like, I even looked like her, like she was so similar.
Yeah,
it's funny. It struck me from the beginning, and it just felt that way the whole way through.
I actually got into an argument with somebody recently about the portrayal of Mary Jane in Homecoming. They're like, no, Mary Jane's really sweet, and she's the girl next door. And I'm like, so what?
Yeah, Mary Jane's also, like,
very flat.
not always that sweet. Like, well-intentioned, but a little bit, like...
not always that interesting a character. Like, I've been a Gwen Stacy booster as long as I can remember. Gwen Stacy is... awesome. She's an amazing standalone character, like regardless of her relationship with Peter. Spider-Gwen is an amazing comic series.
I feel like Mary Jane is very much an idealization of femininity in the past.
Yes.
Where simple, pretty goes along with whatever.
And there have been many iterations of her since where she is a bit more complex of a character, but she's...
The core of that character is still kind of old.
Yeah, usually not much more interesting.
Yeah, she's the pretty girl that Peter can't get and wants to get, but I feel like there are definitely other characters who are more intriguing, and I liked the way that they handled this.
Yeah. Well, they also... Peter Parker's first love in the comic books... was Betty Brant, and she was she was one of the secretaries at the Daily Bugle, and she was actually in the movie. She was one of the girls doing the announcements. Like they had that little announcements program.
Thought that was so funny because that's so much closer. You know, in a lot of these teen movies, they have the school news seem like all flashy and well done. Where most of the time it's not. It's really like, awkward.
Hi, here's the news. What do you think about this? Ha ha ha. Okay, here's the weather.
Like, yeah, I remember my little high school news flash things when they started doing them visually. Yeah. I remember I was in high school at the time when they just started. I think they started halfway through my high school of actually having video announcements done by students.
Yeah.
I don't think that was done before I was in high school.
Right.
So I relate to that very much. These really awkward, young-looking kids. And that's another thing they did great in the movie, is that no one looked like they were, like, 30 in high school. No,
they got lots of child actors.
You know, and even if you're, 20, at least they all really looked very youthful.
Yeah.
Like I do when I shave.
You do. Oh man, that was a harrowing moment when I came home, or I came back and I saw you without your long hair and your big bushy beard, and I was like, whoa. I
know. So
he looks like a young Benedict Cumberbatch when he shaves.
With lighter hair, maybe. I had hair. I had long curly wavy hair halfway down my back and a pretty full beard and mustache combo. Uh-huh. And I took it all off one day.
They're back. I mean, your beard and mustache combo are coming back. Like, but it's more like in a well trimmed sort of like a little heavier than a 5 o'clock shadow sort of way.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a sharp difference, and I know I look young. I look like 17. No. I look about 30-ish with the full beard. Yeah. Especially with longer hair. When I took it all off, I literally looked 17.
Probably. But like a mature 17, like mature for your age. Give him the double thumbs up.
Double thumbs up to make me feel better about myself.
Anyway, loved MJ's portrayal. Loved that Captain America was in like the workout videos in the gym.
That was awesome. Not workout videos,
Or
but
the
PSA type announcement videos.
Yeah, that was so good because like that's definitely something that would happen.
Oh yeah, and he would totally do it. They'd be like, "Hey, will you do this?" He'd be like, "I will."
Because he's like,
and the best part is that he's wearing the Avengers uniform.
Yep, he's. Yeah.
They didn't give him the really cool one. They gave him the dorky one, and that's such a great little. That's a small little thing that's so good.
It's perfect, and also the surprise cameo by Hannibal Buress, who was their gym teacher. He's one of my favorite comedians.
Yeah.
And he's also in the hit show Broad City.
The great thing about the gym scene is that they're kind of doing it more modern now, where like the unathletic kids are all sitting off to the side in the bleachers.
Yeah,
like, that's so good because that's so much what high school is like now.
Peter Parker knows Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I fucking love Ned. Ned is the best.
So what did Spider-Man bring to the greater MCU? Pretty much nothing except for a really great Spider-Man
Just
film.
a really great Spider-Man film, building more of the father-son relationship with him and Tony.
It expanded on that dynamic. It just expanded on the Spider-Man character a lot.
If you hadn't been watching some of the TV adaptations like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like that, it brought to you the concept of Chitauri.
Yeah, that's right.
Technology being salvaged and used for more nefarious purposes. But that's about it.
Yeah, to the greater universe, it didn't introduce a lot. It didn't really do a lot, but it brought something valuable.
Yeah.
Because Spider-Man is a quintessential Marvel character. Maybe the quintessential Marvel character.
For sure.
And if they did a good job with him in Civil War, but if they didn't make his movie really good, it would have been a big problem.
For the longest...
We might not be ramping up. We might not have been ramping up to Infinity War with that same kind of enthusiasm.
No, definitely not.
You know, we wouldn't have that faith because, you know, Civil War was good. I mean, Ultron was pretty good. Ant-Man was pretty good. Civil War was definitely good. And Doctor Strange was definitely good. But I feel like Guardians 2 was, like, okay. And if we didn't have, like, a killer Spider-Man movie, people might not have that same excitement.
Well, yeah. Then we definitely ramped up from there because it went Spider-Man, Ragnarok, and then Black Panther. And
all of which were good, but I mean, if they had come out with a Spider-Man movie that really sucked, we might not have. I mean, not everything is about showing up to a movie as a blank slate and just liking it or not liking it. A lot of it's about hype. A lot of it is about the level of excitement that you have. Does it live up to that excitement?
Yeah, you know? that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, if I ever have kids, or if there are ever people I want to show in the future that have no idea of the Marvel franchise, if I ever want to get them into these movies, like, I don't think they're gonna have the same level of obsession as me because I've been waiting for this movie for X number of years.
Right, and it's more meaningful for that. I remember the day I went to that movie. The day I went to Spider-Man: Homecoming, I went alone. My wife was totally sick of Marvel, and I hadn't met Tracey at this time, so I said, "Hey, I'm going to this movie. It's opening day," and
I might have been there. Did you go to the Tropic?
No, I went to the Regal.
Oh, the Regal. Actually, I did go to that one. I went to the Regal to see Spider-Man.
I went on opening day.
I might have been in the same theater as you.
That would be really funny.
That would be really
if that was true.
Yep, I went with. I was still in the middle of my lionfishing.
I went in the middle of the day. I think I went to the 1:00 showing.
I was in the middle of my internship at the Dry Tortugas, and all of the other interns and I went to go see it because they were all obsessed as well.
Did you go to the 1:00 midday showing?
Yeah, I think so.
I think we were in the same movie theater.
I think we might have been in the same movie theater.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, the the Regal over by like the main plaza.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's the one I went to.
That is too funny.
Jesus.
Well, I was hanging out there alone, loving every minute of it.
Oh, I was too. I was the one that threw his popcorn all over you. Just kidding.
You were probably that annoying guy talking too much in the movie.
Do you want to talk about Black Panther since we already have an entire episode dedicated to it?
We'll briefly go over, but we
Okay.
do need to talk about Ragnarok.
Ragnarok is super important because it's amazing.
It is, and I think that out of all of the Phase 3 movies, and I feel this way having just done this, but I think it has the most rewatchability factor.
Definitely. I mean, if you listen to the any of the dialogue from the...
Just so the audience knows, there are 2 termites trying to have sex on my Apple Watch charger right now.
Oh, love.
Yeah.
Love is blossoming.
They're right here.
That's great.
Yeah, they're trying to get it on.
Damn.
But I've just interrupted them.
Let's get it on. Yeah, man, our podcasts are just a hot spot, a breeding ground for love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love.
I met my wife on this podcast.
That's so sweet. The director who directed Ragnarok.
Taika Waititi.
Yes, he said in an interview about 80% of the dialogue was improv.
And I think the movie was just so much better served for that.
Honestly, yes. And that's in a movie like that. That's not necessarily like something you can do with any old movie.
Or with any old set of actors.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I was gonna say. The set of actors that they were working with were just so top notch that they were able to roll with the punches, and the movie was again that much better for having been improv.
I have such a greater appreciation for Chris Hemsworth after this movie.
Same.
I would go see pretty much any movie he's in if it's a comedy just because of that movie.
He's hilarious.
I will also go see any Taika Waititi movie because of this movie.
Yes. I loved him. Everything he did. Oh, God. Who was the... Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, my God. So
good.
My favorite Jeff Goldblum role of all time.
He literally played himself. He literally just played himself. Like, he didn't do anything. He was just like, like, he was just like his fucking Jeff Goldblum self.
I'm one of those people who don't laugh out loud a lot. Like, I find things funny, and if I don't laugh, it doesn't necessarily mean I don't think it's funny. I might find it amusing, but I don't laugh out loud a lot. I laugh out loud a lot at this movie every time I see it. It's just... It's really funny. It's knee slapping funny, as they would say.
Yeah. Yep. Tom Hiddleston reprising his role as Loki. We get
Excellent. We get Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie.
Oh God, she's
great,
amazing. I love her.
We have the Grandmaster, who's such a great character.
We get some quality Thor on Hulk time. Whether it be
great fight scene. It's like
really
I'm so pumped because Marvel understands what we people like. We want to know which one's more powerful. We want that power scale in our head.
Except they sort of didn't tell us.
They told us.
They sort of told us. But
they told us.
Thor's
more powerful.
Oh, Thor is more powerful.
Well, here's the thing. The thing about the Hulk is that he's very unique in the sense that we in this rewatch that we've done, I've kind of paid close attention to him from start to finish. And the thing about the Hulk is that he's a character who literally grows in power the more angry he gets.
Uh-huh.
And he would never be as angry at a character like Hulk, who's his friend, as he would at a potential enemy. But without specifically spelling it out, the movie essentially tells us that Thor is a more powerful character than Hulk is.
Well, now that he has Stormbreaker, obviously he is.
Yes, but
from the movie we didn't see.
But But Stormbreaker is a focal point of power.
Yeah.
Thor is still a more powerful character. I've been putting a lot of thought into it because I'm really curious about what kind of role or what part does Asgard play in the greater Marvel universe, and how powerful are these characters,
right?
And how powerful is this race and the royal family versus the regular Asgardian, and basically. My conclusion, whether it's right or wrong, what I've sort of come to understand, is that...
Don't think about it too much.
Don't think about it too much, but if you do think about it too much, there's a subtlety there where they are telling you that the Asgardians are essentially the most powerful race in the universe. And there are other cosmic beings who are perhaps more powerful,
but that's an individual, not a race.
Exactly. And also there is no doubt that the royal family of Asgard are far more powerful than their people.
Yeah, they're gods.
They are, and they reference that a lot in Ragnarok to drive a point home, I think.
Yeah.
And God might not be the right word, but it gets the point across.
For sure. Yeah, that's one thing that they did go over. It was a focal point of the final fight in the Incredible Hulk, and it was definitely more referenced in the Ang Lee Hulk, that his strength and size increases with his level of anger. So it's like, have we ever seen Hulk truly angry?
Well, I think that in the movie we didn't see yet. Yes. I think that's the one point. We've never seen Hulk lose a fight to a true enemy until Infinity War.
Yeah.
But let's not talk about that yet.
Okay. But just like in all of the times that we've seen him Hulk out, was he ever like truly angry, like during those things? Because
yeah, I think when he fought the Abomination, he was truly angry and he won.
Yes.
And then I think he's truly angry.
I mean, he definitely kicked ass in the first Avengers, but I don't think he was like angry. I think he was just like, yeah, I need to do this. And then in Avengers 2, he was getting mind-fucked by Scarlet Witch.
But then when he has to end up fighting Tony Stark in the Hulkbuster...
Yeah.
I feel like... I feel like
that's the angriest we've seen him, because I think the raw emotions being evoked from her electromagnetic meddling in his brain.
I think the angriest and strongest we've ever seen him actually is in The Incredible Hulk when he fights the Abomination.
Yeah.
I feel like that is his most powerful moment in the MCU. And then when he fights Thanos, I guess let's hold off on that, but pre-Infinity War, I think the angriest he's ever been is actually in his solo film, because in most of the others, he's just beating up
nameless grunts.
Nameless grunts, or he's fighting his own teammates.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. So, we may have potentially not seen his full power.
I would say that that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure would have a lot of reason to get angry enough to achieve his full power after recent events from that movie we didn't see.
But there's a lot more to them that we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Anyway. He actually has a fairly complicated character arc in that movie.
He does.
So, I guess Thor Ragnarok's plot is fairly simple. Basically, when Thor is out searching for Infinity Stones, he starts to have visions of an end of the world type scenario.
Or an end of Asgard, at least.
Yeah, an end of Asgard scenario. And Surtur is present in them.
Surtur.
So he goes to Surtur's realm, which is Niflheim, I believe.
Niflheim? Yeah, that's like the land of like flames. Like eternal.
I believe it's Niflheim.
Yeah.
And to discover exactly what that's all about, he has a funny confrontation with Surtur, in which he shows that he's clearly more powerful than him, and learns that Surtur needs his crown to be lain in the eternal flame to achieve his true power, which is immense and more powerful than Thor or any other Asgardian.
Big plot hole there. Why did he bring the helmet back to put it in the exact same hall that the eternal flame existed in?
Well, because no one other than Surtur would ever put his helm or his crown in the eternal flame until Thor realized why it had to be done.
Yeah.
Even Hela wouldn't do that. So if you think about it, the vault was actually the safest place for Surtur's crown.
On the condition that Hela made a return.
No, it was the safest place for it. No character in the Marvel Universe that's not Asgardian could ever get into the vault, basically, right?
How? Is it like magically sealed or something?
Well, if you remember from Thor, the first Thor, that it is magically sealed, and anyone who did get into it was immediately annihilated by the Destroyer.
Oh, I guess I don't remember that. I was pretty sleepy for that movie.
But basically, I think it can be assumed that the Vault of Asgard is considered one of the safest places in the world.
Yeah.
In the universe, pardon.
Okay, fair enough.
So yes, the eternal flame is there, but no one in Asgard would ever put the eternal flame there. Hela wouldn't do it because she wouldn't want Asgard to be destroyed. No one would do it. Yeah. So it's a safe place to keep something of that power.
Okay, fair enough.
It's convenient that it's there for the movie, but it also stands to reason.
Yeah.
Why he would put it there.
Okay. Yeah. So.
And then once he discovers that, he finds out that Odin is not in Asgard.
Yeah. That Loki is impersonating him. We get an awesome,
which is so funny.
That's so good.
Great scene.
One of the most random fucking cameos in the world. Matt Damon playing Loki.
And Sam.
And then Chris Hemsworth's brother.
Chris Hemsworth's brother playing Thor.
Yeah.
And Sam, I can't remember his last name for the life of me, but he was the guy from the original Jurassic Park.
Oh, shit.
Is playing Odin.
Oh, who is that?
His first name is Sam. Can't remember his last name right now.
I can't remember either.
It'll come to me randomly.
Yeah, and then he gets Loki to reveal himself. He takes him to Earth, where they show up in front of an old folks' home that's being demolished.
Then we get an awesome scene with Doctor Strange.
I love that scene.
So good.
Everything about it is good, and then him holding his hand out to get the hammer back, and it's just smashing through everything.
I love how Doctor Strange is just like messing with him, and then Thor has his moment where he just like wrecks the place, like, drawing the hammer back.
Sorry.
And you know what my favorite part about that whole scene is?
Yeah.
At the very, very end,
when Loki drops through.
No, when Doctor Strange like sends them both away through the portal.
Yeah.
He goes, "Nice guy."
Nice guy. Yeah, I love that. I loved it when Loki disappears and then suddenly he finds himself in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and then Loki reappears at the end of that entire scene and slams on the ground. He's like, "I have been falling for 30 minutes."
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's so good. Then they find their daddy, They find Papa Odin in he's somewhere. Is he in Sweden?
Norway.
Norway? No, he is in Norway. Looking at the fjords, and he dies. He says like a long soulful speech to them, and he dies. And he tells.
You know what? I forget. I forgot to mention that I when I rewatched it, I really loved about it.
Yeah.
Which kind of slipped past me the first 2 times I saw it.
The fact that Heimdall wasn't keeping the Bifrost anymore.
No, the fact that oh shit, I don't know. Now I forgot his name. I said it 5 seconds ago. The actor who normally plays Odin is named. I said it.
Anthony Hopkins.
Thank you. I said it like 10 seconds ago, and all that could come to my mind is Hannibal Lecter. But, but the fact that he gets to play the character of Loki for a hot minute there, he does such a great job.
Oh, he does. He's hilarious.
I loved it so much. When he's taking a drink of wine after the play, and Thor walks up, he's like, "Oh shit!" That's such a great moment.
Because Odin wouldn't do that.
No,
he's so fucking
I know,
regal.
I know, but Anthony Hopkins' portrayal of Loki in the guise
so
of
good.
Odin is really excellent. Really excellent.
So funny.
I gotta throw it to him because him playing Odin is not the most interesting character, but when he plays Loki, it is fucking funny.
Yeah. From there it just shit goes downhill. Hela makes one hell of an entrance by destroying. Stop! It's a moment's past. She makes an amazing entrance, destroying Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. She breaks that like with her one hand, and is just like. And then Loki panics and then calls a Bifrost. Honestly, the entire movie,
a bitch.
The entire movie could have been avoided if he just like decided to fight them on the earthly.
Yeah, if he didn't run away like a little
punk.
You know, like
little punk ass punk.
Yeah.
Bitch ass punk ass bitch. and then she followed them and then knocked them both out of the Bifrost, and then they ended up on the battle planet and
Sakaar.
And everything from there was just wonderful.
Yeah, everything from there, plot-wise, is mostly just jokes all the way through.
Yep.
And the point at which we really get back to like true plot is when they arrive back on Asgard and have to go up against Hela and her minions, and I thought it was really funny. I thought it was really well done.
Who was the character that replaced Heimdall?
Scourge.
I loved him. Liked his redeemable moment at the end.
What's his name? Keith Urban?
He didn't really serve a purpose.
That's the actor's name, right? Keith Urban?
Sure. I don't know. It really, his only purpose in the movie was to give Hela somebody to talk at. And to give instructions to, and to describe her entire like history.
But he's also very much fan service because Scourge is a little bit of a fan favorite, and he does wield 2 M16s in the comics, which is really funny.
So good. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. And they have an epic fight. It was one of those weird instances where the hero can't actually overcome the villain, so he finds a greater villain, and Thor ends up sacrificing all of Asgard to save the Asgardian people because he finds out in his weird little spirit vision with Anthony Hopkins that Asgard is a people, not a place. And I think that's a very nice way of saying the home is where your heart is.
Yeah, home is where your family is, and it's not a building. It's not.
Yeah. It's
not your city. It's not necessarily a physical thing. It's an emotional thing, and I thought that was really good. And they made the point that something that a lot of Thor fans have always sort of kind of said, like, Thor is not the god of hammers, he's the god of thunder.
Yeah, he's got thunder, exactly.
And I like the fact that they addressed the idea that the hammer is a focal point of power. It's a focal point of energy. Yeah. It helps you
focus it. Yeah. It helps him. It's like his training wheels.
Like, basically, you as an artist, your pencil is not what gives you power. It's what allows you to help. It helps you to create these amazing images that are in your head.
Yes.
So,
for an artist, not I. Stop! You're making me blush. Yeah. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
That's a commercial.
Maybe you're the god of thunder. Maybe it's Maybelline. Anyway, before we get too stupid, what did Thor Ragnarok bring to the overall MCU?
It brought us the Grandmaster. It brought us Hela. It brought us a vast increase in Thor's power. It brought us a relationship between Doctor Strange and Thor.
Mm-hmm. Brought us a nice new haircut.
It brought us Sakaar. It brought us Valkyrie.
The destruction of Asgard.
It brought us the destruction of Asgard.
And the death of Odin.
The death of Odin.
See, that was a thing that, like, I was talking to somebody who was like, why didn't Thanos attack ages ago? And my buddy was
Odin
like,
is more powerful than he is.
Odin, like, we had Odin looking over this universe. You had Ego. And you had...
the Xandarian Empire.
And the Xandarian.
I mean, yeah, he ended up defeating them, but fighting them and Asgard and Ego, would definitely have been beyond his means to attain the Infinity Stones. Like,
agreed.
They basically said that without the Infinity Stones, he can be defeated by other very powerful cosmic entities, but he's able to accumulate all of the Infinity Stones before those other cosmic entities are aware.
Yep.
Specifically because Ego is not there and because Odin is not there. And Thor has that power, but metaphorically speaking, he doesn't have the wisdom to use it yet.
Yeah. So
Thor is one of the most powerful characters in all of the cosmos, but he still needs that physical thing to help him concentrate it. Right. He can't wield the great magic that the All-Fathers traditionally can yet.
Gotcha.
Which I find really interesting. Like, to me, it's not just about who's more powerful than who. It's that they have the ability to weave these intricate character arcs for all of these different people in all of these different ways, and Thor is a really interesting one when he's done right.
Mm-hmm. He is, and I think that's why this one was so interesting, because it showed him in a more humorous light. It showed him in, like, interacting with more people. He was less self-involved this time. He's just a really cool character. The movie was written and directed and improv well. Had a really great time with it. Before we get too long, let's do a super quick thing on Black Panther, because we've already talked about it
at length in another podcast. Yes.
Yeah, we've talked about it for like literally an hour and a half.
In fact, basically, let's do this.
What did Black Panther bring to the MCU?
I was thinking that because if you want to hear about what we have to say on Black Panther, which I feel like is actually one of our best podcasts.
Yeah, it's
to
our
date.
third podcast.
Fourth. It's episode 3, but it's our fourth podcast.
That's what I meant.
So anyway, episode number 3, Black Panther. Please check it out, because I think it's a pretty solid one.
Covers everything up.
But I don't think we ever really did a what does it bring to the greater universe.
Yeah. Well, it fleshes out the Black Panther as more of a character. It brings in Wakanda. It talks about the vibranium meteor, and why their society is so much more advanced. It introduces
some really important characters. Shuri, M'Baku, Okoye, who else? Forrest Whitaker's character starts with Zuri. He ends up dying, but he's a great character.
Mm-hmm.
It introduces the heart-shaped herb.
Yep.
It talks a lot more about vibranium.
Mm-hmm.
It gives us one of the best villains in the MCU for sure.
Yeah, it brings back Claw and Martin Freeman. Talks about race relations.
Yeah, yep.
Which is something that has not really been
something
extensively.
It does more than any other film really talk about a current political climate.
Yeah.
All of the other films in the MCU have their own thing to say.
Yeah.
But that one, more than any other, really strikes home for what's going on in the world right now. And I think it's truly amazing for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. That was the movie that America needed at the time.
I think so too.
It couldn't have come at a better time. It was.
I really wondered if it was gonna do well at the box office, and in the 2 weeks ramping up to that film, they started talking about how it was gonna make more and more and more money, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I went to the movie, and I was on opening night, and I was floored. I really loved it, and I'm really glad that it was as successful as it was.
Yep, man. It was. It was a very poignant movie. I think it's a lot. It's a movie a lot of people needed. A lot of people needed to hear. Subverted a lot of expectations. Beautifully directed, beautifully acted. Funny, relatable. God, the movie had it all.
Yeah,
really good.
I think more than any other film, it felt like a movie that was written last week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like every other film, to some degree, has a vagueness about exactly when it was written, when it was created. But I feel like Black Panther, I feel like it could have been written yesterday for the way that it relates to our society, our pop culture,
and
our politics.
I think I think this was done intentionally. It's probably the movie in the MCU besides disregarding Phase 1 as a Phase 3 movie. It's the most you can just kind of jump into. It's
introductory,
accessible.
It's the most it's accessible. It's introductory.
Yeah,
you don't feel. Even Spider-Man feels that way, except you still have this relationship with Tony Stark where you're like, if you haven't seen other movies, you're like, there's something I missed here.
It's a standalone movie. You could view it as completely a standalone movie.
With Black Panther, if you've never seen an MCU movie, if you've never seen a Marvel movie, you can see it, you can understand everything that happens in it, and you could also not even be aware that there's other movies that have anything to do with this. And I thought that was brilliant because
super self-contained.
Yeah, they brought in a ton of fans. I know so many people went to Infinity War.
Yep.
Because of Black Panther.
Yes.
Not really knowing anything about any of the other Marvel movies.
Yes.
And that's a great thing.
Mm-hmm. It's a very great thing. You know what's another great thing? It's that I got you here with me. And that's a great thing.
It's time to wrap up the podcast when Tracy starts talking about how important it is to have friends.
It is super important to have friends. You know what, everybody? Find somebody, hug your neighbor.
Go. If their back door is not unlocked, break their window, climb into bed with them, and hug them. They'll understand.
They will understand. This message is supported by Tracy LaFrance. Again, check out my Instagram, Viva LaFranc with a 3 at the end. some cool art's going to be coming up more soon. As soon as I get done with this last commission, it's been giving me a headache. I will post lots of cool stuff. I'll post rules and regulations about what I like to draw, and art and like
Lots of dick pics.
lots of dick pics, naked men, exclusively naked men. Lots of pictures. I'm happy to take requests. I will be putting up a list of like my payment scale, which I hope is very fair because I'm very recent at this. I'm very new to this. And then maxdean.org.
Maxdean.org, you're going to find all of our podcasts. You're also going to find more original artwork by Tracy LaFrance. You'll probably find some, in the very near future, some promos and some teasers for our future graphic novel in the works. And please email us at maxwelldean@maxdean.org.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what you like about the podcast, what you don't like. Tell us what you want to hear. Ask us questions. If you have questions, we will answer those questions.
Tell us what you want, what you really, really want.
Yeah, that's right. And if you have something that you'd like for us to read aloud on the podcast, if you have something that you want to bring to the podcast, that's your own words, then we'll read it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
In our various voices.
For sure. We're definitely looking for guest nerds.
Yeah, we'd like some interaction. So
yeah.
So give us a shout. Beyond that,
just hug everyone.
And get ready for Infinity War, which is going to be the next release.
Yes, which we haven't seen. Hug a tree, don't get splinters. Love you long time. Write letters to Santa.
And don't forget, break into your neighbors' houses to get close to them.
Instagram me your favorite flavor of ice cream.
And then we'll take a picture of Tracy eating that ice cream.
Yes. Or you could just send me the ice cream. Just send me money. Send me money. Lots of money. My Venmo is... No, I'm just kidding.
Ice cream and money.
Ice cream and
it's
money.
It's going to make this man's
That's
world
all we care about.
work.
That's all we care about. That's all this podcast is about. We don't care about nerd stuff. Ice cream and money. Ice cream and money. Next week, intense discussion on Cherry Garcia and the $20 bill. Goodbye.